was in disbelief and denial to the point where, I started to look through all the internet sites trying to find out if there was anything true to it, the validity of it. Reached out to several of my teammates and former Charger teammates, and I guess in the ultimate form of denial, I even text Junior just to make sure that the news wasn't true. I got no response from anyone, my teammates, anyone, and that's when I really started to get worried.
Is it still unbelievable to you at this moment?
Yeah, when you know the man, I mean, everyone knows 5'5" as a player, Hall of Fame player, one of the greatest ever to do it. But when you got to know the man who exceeded that talent and that ability and that production, a greater person than he was a player, it's hard to believe, man, because Junior Seau would do anything on that football field, which wasn't surprising because I knew his reputation. I'm from Southern California. I grew up watching him at USC. And then I was blessed to be his teammate in San Diego 2001. And to realize that this dude was a better person than that linebacker that I knew. It just makes it unbelievable to know that this is the finality and this is the result.
I know it's very tough, so if you need to take a moment, go right ahead. You're very close to him off the field. Can you tell us the last time you saw him?
I went down to his Ring of Honor ceremony in San Diego in November where he was inducted into the Ring of Honor, and I just remember seeing him, and he was getting pulled left and right as he always is, but still being buddy, as he called everyone, and just always being someone that was engaging to everybody. And I remember going to his restaurant afterwards and us sitting down and talking, and it was just to see him once again in that light around all the Charger players was great. We were just talking about our lives since playing together, and it's interesting, that conversation. It's really tough to reflect upon because the highs of that conversation was Junior had moved on in the broadcasting world as I had, and he had his own show. And once again, I was telling him how envious I was and how he always paved the way, and we're laughing about that. And we're also talking about his golf tournament that was coming up, and he wanted me there so badly, and I had to miss it because I actually had to film on the East Coast, so I couldn't make it. And I remember talking to him about the reports that he had crashed his car in an attempted suicide. I remember talking to him because I said, Junior, be real with me. I'm your boy. I've fallen asleep at the wheel before. I'm not perfect. Tell me you just fell asleep. And Junior told me he did. Junior didn't tell me anything that showed any cries for help. And I remember the last time we talked, and after we got off the phone, Junior texted me. This is Junior. This is Junior being a given man. This is Junior being the great player, the great person. Text me. My last text from him is, I love you, that dude. Buddy. It doesn't make sense, man. I just know how great a heart this guy had beyond the ability, and today is the worst day.
You talked about the incident in Carlsbad, California, back in October of 2010, where police said they believe that Seau fell asleep at a wheel, went over a cliff in the San Diego area. You talked about some of those public, his persona, where he was in public. So talk more about those private conversations. What kind of mood was he in lately?
The thing about Junior, and it's probably tough for people who don't know him, is, and I heard Chris Berman say it best, he was a man still, but he was playing the game like he was just a little child, like a boy out there. That spirit he had, it was infectious. I mean, he really looked forward to playing the professional football game like we all did when we were 7, 8 years old, playing in the backyard or Pop Warner. And Junior always kept that smile, always gregarious, always engaging, always calling everyone buddy. And now I reflect, and I'm like, Junior, you always led the pack. And he was the best teammate I've ever had with that level of ability. Never do you meet a superstar who is making sure that he's trying to help the entire team before himself. I mean, Junior would never let you see him sweat, never let you see his pain. And that was the toughest thing about it, because I just thought that was for football. When we would go to the training staff and get medical attention, sprained ankle, whatever it is, Junior would go back to his dorm room or go back to his dorm room in training camp and take care of himself with private doctors. Why? Because Junior wanted to make sure when you saw him, he was at full strength. You didn't want to see him in his weakest moments. But now I translate that to his personal life, and I'm like,
take your time.
We were there for you, man. Like, we knew you was a superstar. We knew you were a super person, but come out and tell us you needed us. Junior did it his way. He did it a way where if he was hurting, you knew it, but you wouldn't see it. And it's just so tough, I think, for everybody who's around him to know that Junior had something he was dealing with, that everyone was in debt to this guy to help him in his time of need, and that none of us were able to help him before this happened.
Marcellus, what is the one thing that you think you'll take away from Junior Seau that you learned on or off the field that you'll live with for the rest of your life?
It's amazing. I talk about him so much on my radio show with Max Kellerman. People always laugh because they always say, God, you always talk about Junior Seau like he's your only teammate you ever played with. And I've been hearing that left and right. But it's really true. He was an idol because I've never met someone so talented, so good, who actually took it a step further to be that great as a person. I will always remember Junior being the teammate that you knew that you couldn't probably match up to him on the field. But then he challenged you to match up to him off the field. And whether it was through his foundation, through his restaurant, all his philanthropic work, the fact that he would always bring his family around, and you would meet uncles and cousins and everyone, and people just met you with a smile. And this was the Seau family, and you knew that you were a part of the Seau family because you were his teammate. He challenges me daily to always go out there and be a great person despite whatever accomplishments may come. No matter how far I go in any endeavor, make sure you take it to the next step like Buddy did and be even a greater person.
Finally, 20 years from now, when we're looking back and reflecting on Junior Seau on the field, what are we saying about him?
One of the greatest ever to do it. I mean, his tenure of playing the game at that level, with that level of energy, it was beyond the production. You know, I remember playing defensive end in front of him and knowing that Buddy was going to make the play, whether it was the play that was called or the play that Buddy was going to run, because Buddy knew the game of football. And just knowing that that guy was my teammate, you know, watching his highlights, watching him play, and knowing that I played with one of the greatest. And no one could take that away from him. And those who were blessed and privy to know him as a man, no one could take away how great he was as a person.